Bonjour and bienvenue à Leadership Trail Mix. No, you're not in the wrong podcast. It's still Leadership Trail Mix. It's still me, Miguel Oliveira, your host. And for the next 5 to 10 minutes, we will still be together looking at one or many elements of this art and science we call people leadership. The only difference is that today I have the privilege of being in Paris, seeing the Olympics. Our reflection today will be about a few things that I learned yesterday when I saw the US men team get the bronze medal in the group artistic gymnastics competition. For the record, I'm not an athlete, I've never been an athlete, so I don't know what it feels like to be an athlete. What I do have is a great admiration for them and a belief that we can find lessons anywhere. We will combine the lessons I learned with a few data points from studies in this area and with a little bit of Brazilian and African culture. Starting from the end, in Brazil we have a famous saying that is used when you want to call someone out. Farinha pouca, meu pirão primeiro, which would literally translate into something like, not much flour, my mush first. Does that make sense? It probably doesn't, right? Doesn't translate. It's a saying that talks about selfishness. Let's say you get to the kitchen in the morning as usual, starts preparing your coffee and realize there is just enough for one cup. Do you split the cup with your spouse or you keep the whole cup for yourself? If you keep the whole cup for yourself and I am the spouse who was left without coffee, I'd say, wow, farinha pouca meu pirão primeiro, huh? Or in other words, with your actions, you're telling me that you care more about your needs than you care about my needs. That's the opposite of what I saw at the artistic gymnastics yesterday. I had never seen it live and it was so impressive to see people caring for each other, rooting for each other, supporting each other, having each other's back. Watching that reminded me of a word that describes a concept that I love. The word is Ubuntu. The African Journal of Social Work defines Ubuntu as a collection of values and practices that people of Africa or of African origin view as making people authentic human beings. While the nuances of these values and practices vary across different ethnic groups, they all point to one thing. An authentic individual human being is part of a larger and more significant relational, communal, societal, environmental, and spiritual world. Former President Barack Obama used the word Ubuntu on his speech at Nelson Mandela's funeral back in 2013, defining it as the, and here I quote, recognition that we are all bound together in ways that are invisible to the eye, that there is a oneness to humanity, that we achieve ourselves by sharing ourselves with others and caring for those around us. My favorite definition of Ubuntu, however, is this one. I am because we are. Isn't that powerful? I am because we are. That's what I saw in the US team yesterday, both inside and outside the competition. A group of 5 young men so different from each other, but with a common goal and a strong belief that their success as a team depended on all of them giving their best, leveraging their strengths in the different equipments, pushing themselves a little harder when a fellow athlete made a mistake. They were in lockstep. I don't think I'll ever forget the moment when we accidentally and unexpectedly bumped into the US athletes in front of a bar near the venue. There was this athlete hugging his parents for the first time after his victory, all of them crying, when he then put the medal in his dad's neck and says, "Take a picture of this. This is the best picture of the night." Which for me showed how much larger than just the team that group was. The support system they had, how many people and things were in place to enable their success. Can we say the same about our teams? Do they share a sense of purpose and community that makes them care for each other's success, understanding that the team's success is what matters the most? Is there a support system for our teams in place? Are we, as leaders, truly part of the support system? Are people focused on giving their best but ready to support each other when mistakes happen? Or is there a blaming culture that makes people hide their mistakes instead of learning from them? Are comparisons between team members or between teams being encouraged? Comparison is actually the perfect segue to the other lesson I watched right in front of my eyes yesterday, which was scientifically explained in a LinkedIn post I read the other day about how important it is to have the right mindset. Ariana Huffington is the one who posted about Lee Tha's report on this fascinating study with Olympic medalists. Yesterday, Japan got gold and was beyond happy. US got bronze and was in cloud nine. But China, the silver medalist, didn't seem to be as happy as the other two, even though they performed and scored better than the US. Why? Because of something known as counterfactual thinking, or as Andrea Luengrath, a professor at the University of Iowa and a co-author in this study, calls it the thinking of what could have been. Here I'm going to quote Ariana Huffington post. She says, silver medalists are more apt to use upward comparison and judge themselves negatively relative to the gold medal winner. Bronze medalists, on the other hand, and the lowest spot on the podium, are making a downward comparison and happily thinking, as Luengrath put it, I'm glad I'm on the podium at all. And it isn't just athletes who engage in second-place thoughts, says Luengrath. There will always be someone who is faster, smarter, stronger, wealthier, just revel in the happiness of the moment and maybe not so much in the outcome, end quote. This is what I call finding joy in the journey, something that I've seen so many people struggle with, both in their professional and personal lives, from projects that never saw the light of the day to a wedding ceremony or even the birth of a child. We develop this crystallized idea of what success looks like, and anything that looks different from it becomes a failure, as if life was that binary, that black and white. Most of the things are in the gray area, and I tend to believe that it's in navigating the gray areas in life that we find most of our learnings and growth opportunities. Here, I can't help but mention the importance of intentionality. It's our responsibility as leaders to, as I mentioned in the latest episode about change, be space makers for our teams, making the time to connect with them at a deeper level and openly communicate expectations, both on the what and the how. It's our responsibility to highlight what the lessons from that journey will be, recognize wins, both big and small, spotlighting them, and lastly, making sure that we are creating a safe space where mistakes are seen as a natural part of the journey. So, in addition to being space makers, we leaders also need to be dot connectors and help our teams see the things we see, and at times, for a myriad of reasons, they don't. And here I'm not talking about encouraging people to not give their best and thrive to be their best version. I'm talking about making sure that they are not losing their reference, which should be themselves, not others. We all should be on this journey to be better than ourselves, but in an increasingly competitive world, it's so easy to lose focus and engage in the comparison game. So, it's our roles as leaders, in addition to being space makers and dot connectors, to be mirror holders and remind our people of who they should be comparing themselves to. Themselves. Okay, moving on to our call to actions. We have 3 today, so pick the one or the ones that resonate the most with you. Number 1, can you assess your team on connectivity and teamwork today? Do people seem to care about each other? Are they clear on what their goals as a team are? Or are they operating in silos, putting their individual interests above the collective one? Are they in lockstep? Can you see Ubuntu in them? And if not, what can you do to help build a sense of community and interdependence? Number 2, with many companies going through mid-year reviews right now, can you pick at least one goal of yours or a goal from someone in your team and connect the dots, being as clear on the expected result as on the importance of the journey to get there? And finally, number 3, can you pick someone from your team and remind them that the goal is to be better than themselves, not anybody else? And I finish this reflection reminding us, the goal is to be better than ourselves, not anybody else. Thank you for listening. If this episode sparkled any ideas for you, if you agree, disagree, or just want to say hi, you know where to find me. Miguel at leadershiptrailmix.com. Take care and talk soon. Au revoir.